Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Turkish with me. We've just drawn 0-0 to Newcastle at the Emirates. You're the first one I'm speaking to. Just quickly, just Turkish, raw emotions after that game. You know, we're used to kind of winning this season so far. How are you feeling off the back of a draw?
Raw emotion, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be a tough game. I think Newcastle showed why they got the best defensive record in the league. I think they deserve a lot of credit for how far they've come in 12 months. You know, I've spoken about how far we've come and how much it's changed my opinion on things at the club week in, week out this season. And, you know, I think it's testament to where we are now, the way Newcastle kind of set up structurally and physically and, you know, really stifled us in an attacking sense. Odegaard didn't have a great game. Martinelli didn't have a great game. Saka was probably the go-to. He didn't have a great game, doubled up often. And then Nketiah didn't have a great game, but it's not on them. It's more that Newcastle defended so well that they nullified anything in the final third for us. I think the first 4 or 5 minutes was probably our chance to get a goal, catch them a bit cold. We got into the box a few times. We had 5 shots in the first 7 minutes. I think Odegaard should have probably scored with his one. But after that, we failed to really create anything up until that Eddie chance right at the end with some good work from Xhaka. Eddie took it well, you know, took it down on his weaker foot. Dare I say should have scored, but, you know, like I said, it's his weaker foot and the defender was closing him down and the keeper did make a good save. So it is what it is. At least defensively, we were solid. We got a clean sheet of our own. It's the first clean sheet back off the World Cup. So I'm definitely going to look more at the positives than any negatives there might be, and I don't really see many negatives. Like I said, Newcastle have been a top team this year and best defensive record, so it is what it is.
Yeah, there's not much. We'll go into the game in a brief second, but do you see Newcastle staying up there in that positions around the first, seconds, maybe even first this season from what you saw today?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard to judge the top 4 battle right now. There's a lot of teams in and around that, you know, 3rd to 6th place. Not much point separates them. But Newcastle today is probably one of the few 90-minute games I've seen from them this season, and based off of what I've seen, they deserve to be in and around the conversation for sure. Like I said, Eddie Howe and Newcastle and the ownership and the people in charge of transfers, they deserve a lot of credit. They haven't gone and spent wildly. They've recruited in good areas. They've recruited good experience as well as good young players. I think Botman's been, you know, one of the centre-backs of the season, if not the centre-back of the season. Trippier, along with Ben White, best right-backs this season. Shaw's had a good season. Burn, he's been good. So I feel like, you know, we didn't score, but it's frustrating because, like you said, we're used to winning this season. You know, going into this game, what was it, 14 wins from 16? Now it's 14 wins from 17. It isn't the end of the world, and we've got tough tests to come in Tottenham away. They're not in a good place right now. Conte's all over the gaff in his press conferences. So hopefully we can bounce back against them and change the narrative over there at their stadium. And then we've got United at home. A bit of revenge on the cards. You know, I mean, they're the only team to beat us this season in the league. So I think it's about looking forward now, and I don't mean just look forward to them games. Listen, we've got a point today. So the 7-point gap at the top is now an 8-point gap. Man City got I was about to say difficult fixture away to Chelsea. I don't know what Chelsea are going to show up.
Yeah, but they're still a big club. It's still a game that we'll be watching to see. They could drop points there. Yeah,
I mean, and listen, Potter's done bits at Brighton, and, you know, the pressure's kind of getting onto him a little bit from Chelsea fans and pundits and so on. So I'd expect them to at least put up a fight. And what I said on the Matchday Live is, worst case, come Friday, we're 5 points in front of Manchester City, the same gap we had going into the World Cup. So after 3 games back without Jesus, I would have taken that with both hands. Best case, 8 points. And somewhere in the middle, they get a point and we're back to 7 points. At the end of the day, you know, we didn't do our chances of a title this season no harm, in my opinion, tonight.
Fair enough. Let me end with just quickly, how important is it that we make a signing in January? Just for what you saw today, 90 minutes. We saw one sub. We did see Tomiyasu come on, but we all wanted that impact sub. It may not be one, it may be 2. How many would you like to see, considering, you know, what would have unlocked Newcastle defence stage, you think, if we had, you know, the choice of signings?
I think with the Jesus injury, I want 2.
Right. Okay, that's a good point.
Even heading into the season with Jesus and Eddie, I wanted a third striker, someone a bit different to change things up a bit. You saw Newcastle try and change things up a bit with Wood coming on and maybe a more long ball approach, even though we done well to nullify that as well. Newcastle actually started the second half quite well, and 5-10 minutes in we kind of regained control. But you can see from Arteta's substitutions, maybe he dug his heels in a bit to turn around and say to the decision makers, look, I needed something off the bench and I didn't have it. Yes, we had Vieira, and I'm a bit surprised Vieira didn't come on, because we spent a bit of money on Vieira in the summer. But at the same time, I understand it, because Vieira gets balls into the box, but at this moment in time, we don't have that physical presence in the box. And when you're coming up against a Newcastle side that has physical presence all over the pitch, maybe that wasn't the right choice. I probably would have thrown Tierney on, but that kind of goes hand in hand with Arteta wanting more attacking options, because I would have probably put Tierney on to attack from left-back position, Zinchenko to maybe slot in the midfield with Xhaka on a yellow, and a silly foul to begin the second half. I thought, we can't afford a red card here, because then, Newcastle might take initiative and kind of kick on from it. But, as much as the ref was handing out yellow cards like nobody's business, we managed to keep our cool. Saliba and Saka didn't get a yellow, so they're ready to go for the North London derby, which is massive. Obviously, before then we have Oxford. I hope for a much changed team. I hope for Emile Smith-Rowe to be back in the fold, because we talk about signings, and yes, we need signings. I want Mudryk over the line. I'd love a Felix for sure, if we can make that happen. But obviously, financially, it might not make sense. So we'll see what happens. But with Emile Smith-Rowe, if he can come back, get fit, and hit the ground running in the same way he left us before the injury, and replicate form from last season, goals off the bench, then that would definitely be an option in a game like this to fling on someone like that. So a couple signings please, but I do also want Emile Smith-Rowe to kind of come back and get his head down and look at how Martinelli and Saka have progressed in his absence, and use that as motivation to get back into the thick of things and do something for us for the rest of the season, because he's got a big part to play.
He does.
Hopefully he recovers from that injury, and it's the last of it, because when he was out injured in the game or two before, I remember he was crying a bit before the game, when he got injured. So you could see it might have been a lingering injury that just keeps on knocking him down, setback after setback. So hopefully the time that's been given, he wasn't on the bench today. We've seen him in training. Oxford's 6 days away. Hopefully that's enough time to at least get an hour out of him if possible. So let's move in January. Let's get Emile Smith-Rowe back on the pitch, and let's go to Tottenham and get the job done.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.